Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Hi, hello, how are my lovelies, my royalty, my beauties? Okay, well, let's get out that boiling, scorching hot petty tea. Very, very petty tea. And if you like it cold, just hold the ice. There's ice at the airport. Mm. Anyway. This is going to be an episode that talks about everybody, but especially the disabled, handicapped community. Because I am the handicapable black woman, right? So, and I have been doing more episodes on that, and I do want to do more, but there's so much going on. And especially when most people see me, all they see is disability, all they see is disabled, all they see is, oh, she can't do. Yeah, watch me. Yeah. And that just gets aggravating. If you see someone with a disability, don't automatically think they can't. Yes, we are limited with some things, but not everything. And there's even some of the most severe disabilities. They still can do some things. They still can do some things. Even if it's dreaming, even if it's, you know, sometimes I know with certain disabilities, or especially nonverbal, sometimes just like you can hear the excitement, the happiness, and sometimes the angry and the petty. Cause yeah, there was one time where I was doing volunteer work, and one of the sweetest guys, like he was nonverbal, but he wanted a specific color for his painting. And he asked one of the ladies, because I was at a different table, and the lady was like, "Oh no, this will be fine." Oh, nah, it's like you could tell, like he was like, "Oh, no, it's like you, what, like what he say? No, he wants that color." so, so yeah, I love and adore and appreciate, and I know or all of us with disabilities, we are misunderstood. Some of us are mistreated, and yeah, and I think that's one reason why a lot of us have thick hearts. And I am surprised with how many of the disabled community voted for the Orange Man. And yeah, this is a political episode. It kind of disgusts me, but at the same time, I don't know their lives. I don't know their situations, but at the same time, the ones that do talk on some of the discussion, social medias, and I hear, I voted for the Orange Man. It's like, I'm a Christian. That's the only thing that's right. It's only because of him that I'm not more disabled or whatever. And I'm just like, hold on, wait, what? Yeah. And sometimes they say some of the same things I've heard in the church. So, but yeah. And it's not all just religious. Some of them just say, politics don't matter for me anyway. It's not going to get any better. So, why am I going to care? Mm, mm. Do you know how much Democrats fought? And do you know how you got some of the laws? Because there's still a law with majority of the states where if you have a disability, they can pay you below minimum wage. If you didn't know, that's a lot. And also with DEI, canceling DEI, now companies don't need, like, if you are able to do a job, but you might need special equipment to be able to do the job, but you do an amazing job when you do it, but the company doesn't want to hire you because they don't want to pay for that equipment. But now we've lost DEI, so they don't need to hire you. They don't need to or have to, and they can say anything and everything. Yeah. I've been through it. It was like, well, not equipment wise, but I've been to job interviews where they're like, "Oh, go and get yourself fixed and come back. You're smart. You're the most qualified for this job." But yeah, you walk funny. Oh, that's gonna be a distraction. That's gonna be a distraction to our clients. Mm, okay, yeah. So if anyone knows anything about it, I do. I do. But this one is more about the SAVE Act with and the upcoming election. And I'm probably going to talk about ICE in the airport in a whole new episode, but I'm going to slide a little bit of that in because when it comes to ICE, they want to put ICE all over. And at the same time, there's been several stories that I've covered since starting the show, and there's so many I never covered, but I'm probably going to bring those situations or the crimes and or the police brutality or whatever all into one episode to show our reality, to show the disabled community reality. Because when you don't teach DEI, when you don't see people with disabilities, when you don't get to speak with people with disabilities, you become very ignorant, arrogant, naive, poorly educated in that with that demographic and in that category. And it's kind of annoying and frustrating because even teaching Generation Z and A, who, yeah, some of the things that comes out of their mouths, and sometimes they're smiling thinking it's just fine and okay with some of the absolutely horrible things that have come out of their mouths about disability and or the terrible things they have tried to do, especially even the like Generation Z, the college students. Like, I learned never say what my disability is. Do not trust. Like, cause like it's not that I don't trust any of my students, but there's a certain demographic of students I cannot trust. And that's the pattern. Like all of them, they say, because even with certain discussions or if there was an election or something on the news, it was those exact students who they would brag or say that they voted a certain way or they're for the certain movement and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh, I'm not surprised. Okay. But yeah, some of the things that they've done to either trigger my disability and or is I remember one of them, they were asking really odd questions. And then one of the students after class, or they stayed after class, and they told me that the student was trying to get certain information out of me so they can look up my doctor so that they can get my specific diagnosis. Yeah. Yeah, Generation Z. Didn't want to do any of the work. Brag because, yeah, didn't want to do any of the work. The classwork, no, didn't want to do that. The time that they took to try to look up my doctor, they should have been putting on their work. Yeah, but they didn't. But they didn't. And so, looking at the SAVE Act and looking at how they're putting ICE in, like, the airports, and even the orange man said that he wants to put them out at the voting booths, and now they want to take away mail-in ballots. A lot of people with disabilities need the mail-in ballots. And what about veterans? There are a lot of veterans, especially from the Vietnam War. Yeah, they're aging, and a lot of them have disabilities or There, a lot of them aren't able to drive, and we don't have public transportation in a lot of areas. And it's like that. I was kind of fighting for um, public transportation in like a lot more places, a lot of areas, and or if I don't know, it's like if there was a way where, because I know there's tax, like with the taxes or whatever, but I don't know. It's like there's different ideas I kind of had, but yeah, if we had a better way for public transportation, a lot more people with disabilities would be able to. But that's the thing, he doesn't want people with like, because a lot of people with disabilities vote liberal. I've met several that vote Republican, but I know the numbers, and I've heard even some that are apolitical, not political, and they say it doesn't matter which way they vote. I wonder what they think now. And some of them never voted. They never cared, and they thought it was stupid. But it's just, I wonder how it's going to be if they do pass the SAVE Act and if they take away the mail in ballots. Because the funny thing is, the irony is, he just voted with mail in ballot in Florida. So he can do it, but we can't. Is he still using that excuse that got him out of, you know, the army, out of fighting? I think it was Vietnam. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The bone spurs. Yeah. Is he using that? I mean, because I don't know. It's just, you get to vote with a mail in ballot, but we can't. People with disabilities can't. All lives matter. All votes matter, right? Right. And they're so scared of like people voting illegally. But yeah, it's really odd because after the last election, each time they said that they caught somebody, they were voting Republican. Mm. And with the time that the orange man lost, yeah, he was the one calling around the different states saying that they needed to find a certain number of votes so that he could win. Yeah, right. Speaking about mail-in, huh? That, yeah. But it's like he keeps saying that they're unfair and stuff. But so were they unfair the time you lost, and they were unfair the times you won? Because I mean, with that Hillary Clinton, you mean she technically, if we didn't have, if we didn't have that electoral uh, electoral like voting and stuff like that, or the college or whatever, we wouldn't. I don't think we would have this nightmare right now. Maybe we would, but. Mm. But now I see like a lot of people are kind of like, okay, yeah, I voted for him once, twice, or three times, but now I think I'm okay with impeaching. Some of them are. Some who voted three times. Yeah, they voted for very bigoted reasons. So they are watching how things go, and they're just like, I don't care how much I have to spend on gas. I don't care how much more I have to spend on food. And I just heard a story about the fishing industry going like, that's falling apart. So, well, and I love, like, yeah, there was a time where I was debating on being a pescatarian too. Mm. So that would be pretty sad. But if they put ice at all of the voting locations, that would be a nightmare. Horrible. because especially if it's someone with a disability and different disabilities, it's how like would they treat us differently when we're trying to get through the door, or would they try to ask us personal information that they're not supposed to ask? And I don't want them anywhere near the door when I get to the door. I don't want them, no. Most buildings have the button so I can press it so that, the handicap door, I will use that. I no, I don't know. Mm-mm. And it's at a point where if I do have to go to my voting location, I don't want to go alone. I I really don't want to go alone because I don't feel like I would be safe. And I guess I'm glad that I'm not going to be doing any traveling and that's one reason why it's nerve wracking with the voting, because they have had very little training, and some of them could hardly pass, if they did pass, the open book test. How much of that covered the disabled community? How much of that taught them how to treat the different demographics of the disabled community? Because there's different, and also now I'm wondering, for those who are blind, do they have ballots in Braille? See, yeah, now I have questions, and I'm gonna look this stuff up. But if someone is blind, it's like, because now I want to know if that's one of the reasons why they mailed them their ballot and everything. So, but someone who was blind would probably need assistance on getting to the voting station and things. But would they trust an ICE officer? Or would there be enough staff or someone to help and assist them? And then someone who is in a wheelchair or a scooter, it's like, are there going to be enough booths, or are there going to be any booths that are lower so that the person would not have to stand, or like just go up to the voting thing, but then have to do it have to fill it out on their lap because they can't reach? And or if there's someone who has epilepsy, or even someone who has cancer or another type of disease and things, with the medications and with just the things that can happen, what are we going to, what are they going to be trained at, what are they going to be able to do? So when it comes to the disability community, what is going to be the end result? What is going to happen? I wonder if any of them have thought about that. I wonder if any of them have created a game plan for those. And then even with the veterans, are veterans going to be able to cut in the front of the line? Because they shouldn't have to stay in a line. They fought for this country. So those, when they come, but do they have to show either their badges or Purple Hearts or anything that proves that they were a veteran? And see, that's the thing too, because now it's a lot of women are gonna need to show their birth certificate and the passport and just the driver's license and the marriage license in order to prove that they are who they say they are. But they're doing that on purpose. They're doing that on purpose. But now with veterans, veterans should not have to stay in line. They shouldn't, you know? And see, it's this is why, Democrats are different than Republicans, because we think about everybody. We think about anybody, everybody, because we do consider all lives. in all situations, and we try to make sure everyone is included and everyone has an equal opportunity to the American dream, which includes voting. Which includes voting. And so it's just pretty sad that now the so-called leader of this country, the orange man, is threatening to take away one of our rights. And it's not fair. And at the same time, he just did it. If you're against mail-in voting, don't do it. How are you going to share, or how are you going to prove that you're against it, or you don't like it, or it's not fair, if you're going to turn around and do the same exact thing that you said is wrong or unfair? Or is it unfair because that's one of the reasons why more people were able to get to the ballots, to make sure you lost? And since, like, a lot of rich people lean Republican, a lot of them are able to travel. So, since they're able to travel, they're more than likely to have passports. And if they have passports, they would be able to prove who they are and their identity, so that they would be able to vote more easily. Is that it? I mean, is that like a smidgen of it? I wonder. I wonder. Because, yeah, both traveling and at the airport. Maybe I'll just go on and talk about the airport situation now, because they kind, like I said, they blend together, and it's all about, the disabled communities, and I can always talk about it again later, especially after I'm seeing, like, when I saw that video of that poor woman. Oh, I was speechless, and then having to hear her daughter yelling in the background, and then other people, like, and then people were recording and shouting their opinions. But then when you look at the comments from the Republicans and the people on the right, just the awful, hateful things they were saying, they were mocking and teasing and everything. And it's just like, are you watching what's going on? But at the same time, the sad part is, yes, they're enjoying it. This is why in so many episodes I've said Republicans are bullies. This is one reason why, well, yeah, I guess I have no problem judging them. Yeah, thou shalt not judge Yamo. Anyway. Anyway. I believe in minding my own business, but once you interfere in my business, once you interfere with my life and me being able to live happily, because a lot of Republicans, they have an easier life. They're known to be happier and stuff because they're too busy bullying, or they get to bully people and torment people and vote against other people to make their lives miserable. That's what a lot of them enjoy and like. That's what I've noticed. But then they turn around and blame, oh, well, it's because of prayer. Prayer is why, yeah, it's like I go to church, and, it's, I just repent and everything. But yeah, since this guy acts too feminine, I gotta tease him. I gotta tease some mess into him to make sure he's gonna act right. I need him to act masculine enough. And my type of masculine, my expectations of masculine, yeah, it's like, I don't want, there's no other definition but my definition. Mm. Yeah, if you know what I'm talking about, I talked about this a few episodes ago, but there was that one girl who, like, in her video was so proud. We need to tease people. We need to mock and force them to be like, yeah, it's just like, girl, you better shut up. Just, oh, oh. And it's rude to say shut up. I don't care. Like, when you're acting this despicable, awful, terrible, but then you turn around and then, yeah, because her excuse was God. Her excuse was religion. That's what allows her to do that. She gets to be mean because, it's it's dedicated to the Lord. Yeah. And see, it's like, and this is why Democrats say, like, especially with the Christian hate, The Christian love hate. Yeah, they hate out of love. But then, so watching that woman, it was heartbreaking. And I've been thinking about it over the last few days. If I had to travel, ICE would have to be there. And with my disability, I can't go through the metal detectors. None of them, I don't think, have any of them been through the training to be able to do the inspection on me. I mean, and okay, I mean everybody with a disability, but since I go through that, I've been through it several times now. I just wonder if they're going to be filling in for these people with all of the people with disabilities, and especially walking disabilities or senior citizens that are unable to go through it. Um, what are they going to do? How are they going to do it? Who trained them? Or did they get any training whatsoever? Or are they guessing? Because this is based off of our safety on the planes. So it's vital that they do a good job and accurate. Inaccurate. Because, yes, I understand it needs to be done. And yeah, that's why it's like, I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, let's get this done. And each time it's like, with some of like the wonderful young ladies that have had to, do the procedure on me, we chit chat, we talk, like, especially like, I either notice their earrings, right? It's like I try to start conversation to get our mind, like, because I'm like, okay, you focus, I'll ask some questions, whatever. And I remember, like, sometimes I ask, like, what is the most unique thing that you found on somebody? Oh my gosh, the answers. It's like, because yeah, I like with all of the people who have helped me at the airport, I normally ask similar questions, and the juicy answers that I've gotten was like chef's kiss, and I'm like, yeah, I'm saving that for a novel. Oh yeah, I'm you. Yep, yep. Thank you. So I was like, I can't make that up. Thank you. So and and that's when I hope they get. I hope we get an agreement with the government soon. But even though the orange man told them not, and I hope the disability community hears, I hope all of the right, but especially the disabled community, I hope you hear the orange man telling the Congress, like, yeah, don't open it. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Like, what? What? We have to pay attention what's going on. We have to pay attention to the actions that are being, like, just placed right now. Our safety, our livelihood. We have people who have not been paid since Valentine's Day. That's not out of love. And I hope the government opens back up soon. I want them to get their back pay. I want them to be able to get back to work. I appreciate everything they do. Everything they do, like, because yeah, it's I'm not, I know, like, the airport, like, oh my gosh, right now with those long lines. Oh, and right around spring break, right around, like, this had to happen right around spring break. Shoes, like, some of these students, I'm like, that they're at least gonna have a good excuse for their teachers or professors of why they ended up missing 1 or 2 days, like, before, like, not coming back to school or whatever. But yeah, I just wonder, are they gonna be trained? Because I hope they do not end up at the ballot boxes. To me, that would be horrifying. But and now I'm seeing how they are at the airport. And are they going to wear masks? Are they going to wear masks at the voting stations too? See, I'm probably going to bring this up in another episode, but yeah, there's different things, there's different issues that come to mind. Thank you so much for listening to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human, and you're human too.